Hey everybody, in this video we're working on a BMW R65 little cafe racer, kind of a little budget build. Have a problem with the center stand, so I'm going to address a couple issues with that thing. We're going to get it rectified and make it nice and stable. So stick around. Hey everybody, we're back in the shop, and today we're switching it up. I got a little bit different project for you. Behind me, I have a BMW R65. That's right, we got an Airhead in here. So, for those unfamiliar, I did a kind of like a quick, basically like one week little build on this thing. Did some simple stuff for the customer, and it's back in the shop because we're just addressing some things that I couldn't get to in the previous period. So, I have the carburetors off of it. Rebuilding those are already rebuilt, and those have to go on today. Replacing some seals, fixing some oil leaks. But the main thing I wanted to show is the center stand. So this thing is it's just kind of wore down and it's too short, and what happens is when the center stand's down, the bike just rocks too much and it's just unstable. So we need to actually modify this thing, and since I put a poll up on the community tab asking what you guys like to see, looks like you want to see some fabrication. So I'm going to remove this thing and we are going to get it fixed. Now you can see we have the center stand down in this position. It rocks quite a bit. Now we know that the bottom of the tube is definitely just wore down, it's flat, so we would gain some length by just doing a repair on that, and I can always add some more material. Now another addition to the issues, or culprit for why the issue is the way it is, I have to have the shocks on max preload here because they're old and tired. And yeah, we could alleviate this by just putting some new shorter shocks on it, which might be the right way to go in time, but we do need to repair the stand regardless. The mounting bolt is actually really loose, so it has extra slack in it. But yeah, if I put this thing on like minimum preload, you can see the stand isn't too bad. And just by fixing it without adding any additional length or any height to the center stand itself, we would probably get away with it and it'll be just fine. But we have minimal tire clearance between here and the taillight, so I don't want to go that route, and I just want to do this thing proper. So we'll see how much we can get away with. I'll add a little length on the bottom of here, and we will repair the pivot there, make sure that's operating correctly. Get this thing back on the max preload until he gets some new shocks. So that's just kind of how we have to go about it right now. But I'll get this thing on the table, remove the stand, and we'll get started. Well, not surprisingly, the lower bushings here, the actual mounts on the frame, are pretty bagged out, as we say, and not really sure how to best repair that. So on the back side of this, it is countersunk to fit this bolt, and then this bushing goes in here, and this has kind of a serrated edge, or a grooved edge, you can see right there, and that lines up into what used to be the matching grooves on the frame, but they're not really existent anymore. So there is a potential I might be able to just open that hole up and then give it a little bit more of a precision shape, I should say, and I don't know, square everything off, and maybe I could just make a new bushing to adapt this, because the center stand itself, it's fine, but you know, the frame is kind of damaged. So anyway, we still have to fix that, and there's potential maybe we just put it back on, I don't know. Went ahead and put this in the solvent tank. Just got all the gunk off of it, so I'm going to clean up the work area now. I think that's close enough. Well, let's see if I can still use the MIG. The bigger the glob, the better the job. I'm a grinder, not a welder. Alright, so on a serious note, the piece of metal insert here, just throwing on a bunch of weld seems to have worked fine, and of course we're going to grind it back and make it look at least, presentable, but that adds a lot of rigidity to it, and should be good to go. So this side I am just letting cool, and then I'm going to go back and add a little bit more. I need a little bit more up top, and then we'll start grinding that back. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and probably make new bushings for the actual pivot side. We'll see. But anyway, hope you're enjoying the video so far. Well, I went ahead and took a flap disc to the surface of here just to kind of figure out how far out around I am, and just scuffed everything up, tried to find a center. So I took a washer, approximately the outside diameter of this, and then just took a paint marker, as you can see, to kind of mark where the hole used to be. So right here above the paint mark, where that groove is wore in, that's unfortunately very, very thin. The serrated edge on this bushing just was eating into that area, causing a lot of slack and play. It was just beating it up. So this, this side will never get tight. You can see the marker. I had a little freaking failure on the marker there. Now this side's, yeah, okay, not, I don't know. They're both pretty equally as bad, just in different ways. So coming over here, kind of see how far out that one is. So again, this thing is tapered in the back to match this bolt. So a little bit tricky to try to understand what the best course of action is. I would like to maybe fill this area back in with weld. I'd probably have to get the TIG out for that if I do it at all. But what I'm thinking is I'll get my die grinder out and I'll just open this hole up and then just make a bushing for it, and then make the bushing fit both this and this. So we'll have one wear item instead of like this getting wore out. And then, you know, if we have to go away from a countersunk bolt, we will. But, you know, I can't really think of a better way of fixing this right now, unless you want to like pull the motor and have access to everything. So we just got to kind of go for it. All right, here's where we're at with this. I opened that hole up to about 3/4 of an inch. So just used a die grinder. I know it's just boring to watch, but there's almost no taper on the back side. So that makes this surface here pretty thick, which means it'll be resilient with a bushing in it. So I've got a 3/4 inch bit here, and I just use that to kind of help continually just mark out where I needed to keep taking material away. And then this is a nice concentric hole now. So I'm going to duplicate it on the other side, and then we can start thinking about our bushings. Alright, so we know we're looking at a 3/4 inch diameter here. I'm going to go ahead and get my measurement in metric. We're not mixing anything here. Just under 19 mil. And then on the center stand, just under 18 mil. So, what should we do? What I'm thinking is, like, if I had enough of a difference here, that difference would allow me to machine a step into whatever bushing I make, and that would also help locate it and create the necessary spacers to where you can't over tighten it and stuff. 1 millimeter, that's not really a lot, so I'll have to think about that. I could open up this hole a little bit more. Let's say open it up another millimeter. I do have, let's see, I used a 3/4 inch bit. I don't really have a bigger bit I would like to use. So, got some thinking to do here. But I do feel this is going to be the best, you know, the best move for this. Could also open this up, but, you know, that still gives me decent spacing there. Would like a bigger difference. Maybe I should have measured this before. Alright guys, I got lazy, but I got lucky, okay? Just cutting some 3/4 inch steel, just slicing a little piece off the end so I can chuck this in the lathe and get started. And of course, for once, I'm very safety glasses conscious, okay? I can talk to any of my friends about it. I make them wear safety glasses. Wasn't wearing them right then. Caught a little piece of metal in the eye. So for those of you who this has happened to, I'm sure probably a lot of you, we all have our different ways of doing it. Now I'm sure a lot of you watching this, if you work in your garage, you've got stuff in your eye before, and it's pretty scary. So in here, I don't have a sink, like an eye wash station or anything like that. And the thing you want to do is not panic. So what I do, I can just, like, I could tell something had just touched it. Do your best not to blink. I know it's impossible, but I hold my eye open, and then I usually take a paper towel and then fold the corner over, so you got like a little tip like that. Walk into the bathroom carefully, and then go in the mirror, and then I can actually look in the mirror and touch it and usually get it out. And that was the case in this time. I have had a couple times where I've had to have my eye dug into and dig the metal out and stuff. That's not fun. I got lucky today, but you know, the important thing is just first wear your safety glasses. Again, that was my mistake. I'm very safety glasses conscious. But whenever it does happen, try not to panic. You'll make it worse. Do not rub your eyes. That's the worst. So anyway, yeah. So now back to what I'm doing. I've decided I'm going to use some 3/4 inch steel on this insert here. So we'll just maintain the two diameters we have, like 18.8 and 17.8. It'll be a tiny little step in this thing, but that'll just save me some time. Now I could use aluminum, save myself even a little bit more time, but I want to do this right, and I feel like with it being a center stand and all that force, it will beat the aluminum out of it, so we'll do a steel insert. this is looking just fine. Got the material, the area built up, smoothed out. We have our bushings. So we're going to go ahead and get the center stand up here and then put the bushings in from the inside. That'll line those up. And then I have just some hardware over there that's gonna kind of secure it in place. What do you say we do a test run here? Go. All right, that looks like it'll fit. I don't have the springs on here, of course. We have motion. That's, you know, loose in here, but still very limited slack. I say we get it off the table. Perfect. So that's on the maximum preload setting for the rear shocks. So that would be the highest that the bike would be in this current setup. And totally stable. So absolutely perfect. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to just basically pull the center stand back off. We'll give it a coat of paint and get it back on here. So that is one job done. Really like how that turned out. Very simple. Got to play, you know, got to doodle a little bit with the MIG. Probably have a sunburn on my left arm actually, but yeah. So made some bushings, got to use the lathe. Hopefully it gives you guys some ideas on maybe how to fix something like that. Who knows? Maybe there's even a kit for this that I haven't even looked into. So I am not BMW savvy, but I can just look at an issue and that's just what I came up with. Alright, time for final install. I think ratcheting end wrenches are just like USB drives. You can never plug it in the right way the first time. And you can never go out a bolt or a nut with one of these the right way the first time. Ooh, yeah, okay, good spring pressure there. Ugh. Keeps it upright. There we go. Got a lot of spring pressure on it right now. I made a major miscalculation. That flush mount countersunk bolt, that was actually so the spring pivots could rotate past. Right now they're bound up. Crap. All right, well this is 11 million% my fault, but let me show you at least where I went wrong here. So during mock-up, I had these little arms. I had them kind of tied up like that. Didn't think anything of it about them having to pivot past that point there. You can see right there, and they go almost flush. So that's why it had that countersunk bolt in there. But luckily, there's a little bit of room. The original washer that was on the back side here, it can technically swing past. All right, it'll rub, but it'll swing past. So what I think I'm going to do is just take my original bushing, weld it to the washer there, and then I will probably just tap this section for like an M10 thread, and then we would be allowed to just run a bolt straight in this side with the other washer like that. So it's either that or I remake this as one singular piece, which, you know, maybe another option, but I don't have something that big of a diameter that I'd like to chuck in the lathe. Okay, we have modified the bushing. I have it welded on here, and the actual bead does not matter because there's still a little bit of countersunk portion on the mount itself. So went ahead and smoothed out the backside, gave it a little bit of a radius, and just kind of make it easier for it to pass by. You can see over here we have the right side installed. It will swing by, so you can get this side in. It's a little tricky. I had to take down a little bit of the diameter. I haven't actually tried to test fit this one just yet, but there it goes. Yeah, just barely. So that'll fit in there, and then these can now swing by. Now, of course, there is nothing locking this in a clocked position, but once you get enough tension on here, just hit this with an impact with a lock nut, and this should just draw in and be totally fine. So I'm not too worried about that right now. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this reinstalled, hopefully for the final time. All right. Swing past. I also rotated the exhaust hanger here, so the stand actually hits the stops and not the exhaust. All right, that is sorted. Much improved. Works like a charm. Okay, now it's fixed. Bike's really stable. We have the correct spring pressure in here because I rectified my mistake that I made, so anyway, that's going to conclude this video. I know it was probably a long one, but just a fix on this bike, something we needed to address with the customer, and then also did a bunch of other work in here, so figured I'd make a video out of just something that I'm working on. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the little R65 episode here. If this was the first episode you've seen of this bike and you want to see more, I have, I think, a few more within this playlist, so go check those out. Subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a follow on social media. That would be really appreciated. So anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. I know it was a long one, but I'm going to wrap it up here. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.